The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are not necessarily representative of the coalition or any other entity. This content is intended for mature audiences only.
Yo, what is going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 166. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
What's up, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero.
Yo, man, Skull Vikings, man. That finish was crazy. That's enough sports for today.
And Adam Vale.
What's up? What's up?
All right, Manny, where's Brian?
Brian, we didn't use the Kingsman this time, so I'm gonna say he's one of the Kingsmen, and he's doing some spy shit somewhere. You don't tell anybody, by the way.
Yeah. Don't blow up the spot.
Don't blow up his spot. Yeah.
And people, Brett will be joining us later, so that'll be good. You know, he's back safely. I was gonna say back in America. He's been in America. Hawaii's America, but you know what I mean. The mainland. He's back in the mainland. You know, and he'll be with us tonight to answer some of your questions, man. So without further ado, let's get into it. G Megaforce 123. He starts us off with: should Nintendo fans be okay? By the way, this is a funny question. Should Nintendo fans become cows instead of sheep, based on the amount of gimmicks and accessories surrounding the Nintendo Switch, coupled with the fact that the system is seemingly going to be getting the entire Wii U library remastered in every 5-year-old third-party game? Is it safe to call Nintendo fans cows, since this is one of the most intense milking situations we have ever seen in a while, with no signs of slowing down? What say you, Throwdown? Nintendo milk goes great with that new Mario cereal, methinks. Yo, Chris, go ahead, man. You take that one.
Well, that's a funny analogy. I never thought of it, but it's true. Like, they are just taking the Wii U library, the best of the Wii library, and they're just going to trickle it out over the year. Especially since we've been discussing this for months. They haven't talked about anything new they've been launching in 2018 besides Kirby and a Yoshi game, and everything else has been a logo, unspecified. You don't know what Bayonetta's coming out. We don't know when the Metroid Prime 4 is coming out. You only got a logo. So we know Kirby's coming out from the Direct Mini, but everything else in there was ports, right? Or rehashes. Well, End of the Year is a 10-year-old game. So, I can't argue with what he's saying, man. It's kind of ridiculous until they prove otherwise, that they're going to support this thing with new titles. And I don't understand what they have the devs doing if they're all just like, well, put all the eggs in Zelda or put all the eggs in Mario. That's it,
Oh, by the way, Zelda's a port too.
This is technically true. But,
Facts.
It's like, and everybody's been saying this since the Switch came out. It's like, you guys have other properties. Like, why wasn't Arms Punch out? Or why, you don't have to remake Smash Brothers. They're gonna port the Wii U Smash Brothers over again.
Yep,
Everybody's,
that's what's gonna happen.
Smash Brothers. It's like, it's the same freaking thing.
You're gonna see Captain Toad show up again. Either it's gonna be a sequel, or it's gonna be the same game.
So it's kind of a sheep cow scenario, because they're asking for this stuff. They're screaming for like another Animal Crossing, same fucking game, another Smash Bros, the same fucking game. Why don't you guys ask for something else that hasn't been done in a while? Like, how about an F-Zero? How about Bring Punch Out back? How about a new something new that they haven't done? How about new Golden Sun?
How about
Oh,
Excite?
man.
How about
Golden Sun, God damn it. I want that.
They could do it.
I had a conversation with someone in the comment section earlier today, sort of criticizing our views about this kind of sort of thing, about how the ports and remasters are not a good look. When a brand new console launches, we should expect new experiences. There should be a reason why we are getting this new console. When we're getting a Switch, we want new games. We want whatever the Switch can do that nothing else can do, right? I kind of got blowback in the comment section saying, "What about the PS4 and Xbox One when they launched? Like the first 2 years, all they did was remasters, ports." And to that, I agree. I was the one. I was the one on Twitter saying, "Yo, this is some bullshit. This generation sucks."
Yeah, you remember how when everybody was like, "Yo, man, the only reason why they're making these things is because Tony keeps fucking buying them."
Yeah, well, but the difference
also,
is
those
we
games
were
were.
calling that out. We were calling that out. We
Yeah.
weren't saying, "Yay, they're porting this. Yay, they're porting." No, we said this sucks. We weren't cheering on this bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it was like a Throw Down Your Questions a couple of weeks ago or a couple of months ago now, when they asked this question about what we thought, if we were underwhelmed or overwhelmed by this generation. And a lot of us mentioned that this generation didn't really start kicking until 2017. Like 2016 had a little bit of trickle down, a little bit of trickles, that some good games. But 2017 was really the first year where like this generation got good, got any new games that we were excited for. And so we've been calling that out for the longest time now. So whenever we're calling it for Nintendo, we're
Adam, what's
showing
up with that
consistency.
breathing, bro? I'm sorry, yo, it's like that heavy ass breathing. Chill out, man. All right, anyway, Carlos, go ahead.
Yeah, we're just showing our consistency. Like we called out Nintendo, or we called out Microsoft and Sony for what they did the first couple of years of this generation, and now we're calling Nintendo for what they're doing. So it's just simple as that.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. Yeah, we can move on to the next question here. Why don't game companies stagger the release of their consoles? For example, is Nintendo finding more success because they are not launching at the same time as other systems? Why do Xbox and PlayStation feel the need to go head to head? So basically, he's saying like, why is it that on the same year that the PS4 comes out, Xbox comes out? He's asking that. Because remember, all these companies are always trying to one up each other. So I think, I could be wrong here. I think them releasing them on the same day at least ensures that no one's going to be behind or too far ahead or something like that. But they all know when they're going to come out with their each consoles, relatively speaking. But yeah, you're right. Nintendo always operates on their own thing, so you can't really kind of count them in this kind of conversation. But yeah, I think they just don't want to be too far behind, too far ahead, because we've seen what happens. The main reason Xbox was winning for so long was because it just came out earlier. And I think the Wii U came out a year earlier. That didn't really help it out. So it's a tricky thing, man. Yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I agree. They have deviated from regular release schedules since at least the Wii. I don't know. I think the GameCube was on a normal schedule on par with everything else. But since GameCube, right? They've been kind of a step behind everyone else. Like the Wii U was like the Wii was just like overclocked GameCube, slightly overclocked GameCube. So they're already like over a generation behind with that, and they've been behind ever since, right? So they're launching on their own schedule is part of that whole blue ocean. Oh, we're not competing with anyone, which they are, but they act like they're not. So, but they're doing their own thing in terms of releases. They can't compete. Like if they launch on the same day, you're comparing PS4, Xbox One, and Switch together, like that would look worse.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Also, Microsoft and Sony, at least this generation, one of the biggest reasons why they launch kind of at the same time is that they share a lot of the hardware, and also these companies want to release and want to mass produce this hardware when it becomes affordable and they're able to sell these consoles at a decent price. That's why they staggered at least this generation. Last generation, I think it was a little bit different. But yeah, I don't think Nintendo necessarily thrived because they didn't stagger the Switch, for example, with the PS4 or the Xbox One. Because I mean, PS4 sales this past year were pretty crazy. These consoles sold, and the Switch sold too. So I don't think there was too much of that helped the Switch. I think the Switch just thrived in its own.
A blue ocean.
A blue ocean, man. Swimming in it.
All right. Anybody else want to jump in on this? I'll take that as a no. So we'll move on to the next question from Mr. Digital Tiger, man. All right. So he goes, Nintendo 64 and the GameCube had very little to no loading times. Why is it difficult for the more powerful current gen systems to achieve this? I know the answer, but I'll let somebody else take it. It's a pretty easy one.
Games are damn big, man.
Dude,
there's a lot of content to load up.
Not only that, but think about it. The Nintendo 64, right? GameCube, not really, but Nintendo 64 was cartridges, no loading. It's all right there. You know, now we have these things called discs. Discs take loading. I remember loading time started with the PlayStation 1 era. That time, you know, because we had disc and shit. But there's also other things. Like Adam said, the games are really big. They run on like hard drives and stuff. That's why. It's just the more powerful the games are, the more, you know, shit that needs to, you know, get processed and stuff.
That needs to be loaded up or packed in or unpacked whenever they do these sorts of things. In order, I mean, yes, granted, there is, you know, even with a solid state, you'll get some sort of, you get a shorter amount of load times, but you still get a load time because again, these games are so big. Even even if some games are on cartridges, there are load times too. Because again, if the game is so big, it needs to do some loading.
Yeah, pretty much. Chris, get in here, man.
Yeah, load times the games are astronomically bigger than they used to be, like even a decade ago. And the problem we have now with game storage is even on cards like the Switch, games are data is compressed, right? So you have the system uncompressing things, loading textures, and then recompressing stuff, deleting stuff. So it's doing all these operations on very big files. So this is why loading times are getting bigger and bigger. Even though the hardware is getting better, it's not catching up with the growth, the size. In computer science, it's a time versus space problem, right? Time is CPU cycles and whatnot versus space, which is the size of files and the size of the data you have to load and unload from memory and do all these operations. So the thing is that games are growing bigger. Companies are getting sloppier too. Like they'll just be like, texture packs, just throw the whole thing in there. Who cares? Now we have the storage. They're using hard drive, but PS4 and Xbox One are basically closed system PCs, right? Now hard drive, you got an x86 system or whatnot, and now they're like, I'll put a terabyte, 2 terabyte drive in there, whatever. So they don't care if they have to compress stuff, not compress stuff, whatnot. They just like throw the shit in there. They'll throw even the code they don't clean up much anymore. So it's like, throw it all in there. Throw libraries in there, don't clean them up. So the system's loading all that stuff. So as the games grow, it just takes more effort to manage all of it, right? So you're not gonna solve that problem anytime soon.
Nope.
Yeah, it's not going to go away. So
even if they use solid state drives, it still requires load.
Exactly.
It doesn't.
Again, unless the only games that really have can benefit from that are shorter type games that don't need to fill up all of the RAM and all that other stuff. So,
well, the only thing, I mean, not the only thing, but one of the things that could kind of reduce that drastically is memory bandwidth. If there is a way, I mean, and getting it off of a physical media is not going to work because optical is kind of slow. Those lasers take forever to load things into memory. But if somehow whatever you're storing your game data and when it transfers to your RAM to get processed, if that memory bandwidth is really high that it allows to just kind of almost one-to-one transfers, that could negate it. But I don't see that happening anytime soon.
But I mean, like, that would make whatever console or even PC incredibly expensive, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, and also we have to take into account what Chris mentioned. These games are just getting bigger.
Exactly. Something has to at least take a hit when it comes to this sort of stuff. I mean, yes, they could put a bunch of crazy high-end stuff inside of these consoles, and also you can do that with your PC. But at the same time, you got to leverage the amount of the cost the console would be to the actual consumer. Like, people are already complaining that a console costs about $500 to $500. So yeah, tell them that this $1,000 system has absolutely no loading, and we'll see how they they'll leverage that. They'll be like, I don't want that. It's too expensive.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, let's move on here to our next question, which is from, hold on, yeah. Oh, my bad. That was Digital Tiger, by the way, who asked us that question. What's going on, man? We haven't seen him in a little bit. All right, so his next question is, if you could only purchase one console between the Xbox One or the Switch, which one would you choose? I asked this question because when I was looking at the Switch's library, there were only two standout titles, Zelda and Mario, and the rest were quote unquote buyer's remorse / purchase to justify purchase of the Switch titles. Basically, I would take the Xbox One over the Switch any day. This is an interesting one because the only one who could kind of really answer this is you, Manny. Everybody else on the panel has all of these, you know.
I probably would get an Xbox One over a Switch.
It offers more.
It offers a lot more, but I mean, in general, I don't. There just hasn't been enough reasons for me to buy an Xbox. And it kind of, if I wanted to play any sort of Xbox exclusive games, I kind of could do it on my PC. But my computer is not like a crazy beast PC anyway, so maybe it would be better for me to get an Xbox One. But we'll see what happens next year.
I wonder if the question assumes that this person already has a PS4, or if it's just a one like person by person basis. Yeah. Because for example, if you asked me this question and I don't have a PS4, I would say Xbox. But if I do have a PS4, I would say Switch.
Yeah, Digital Tiger, he's a Sony guy, so we have to assume he just assumes that we all have a PlayStation already,
Oh, okay, yeah. So if anything, I would probably go with an Xbox more than a Switch. As much as I would like to play Mario Galaxy and Zelda, needs a little bit more for me to make the leap.
Yo, man, you can't play Mario Galaxy on a Switch anyway.
It means Odyssey.
That's what I have to say. I'm like, yo, man.
What are you talking about? I'm sure Mario Galaxy and Mario Galaxy 2 are coming out on Switch like next year.
Yeah, that is a fact. Well, that's not
it is a portable console.
Yeah. Listen, I wouldn't be surprised, man. I would not be surprised, man.
I mean, to be honest, that would be great to put those games on there. Those are Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 are amazing games. But at the same time, I just for Switch for me and Switch, there needs to be quite a bit more reasons, and it can't just be a bunch of rehash games from like 5 years ago.
So you're saying Switch ain't gonna give it to you?
No, they're not gonna give it to me until they actually give something.
Oh man, he ends things off with PS4 Life. Yep, that's Digital Tiger. Welcome back, man. All right, the next questions are from Silver Sky. Silver Sky. 2 questions, my man. 2 questions, not 3. I had to throw one off. Come on now. All right, so before he leads off with any questions, he goes, I just got PSVR and it's fan-fucking-tastic. I'm glad you like it. That's good. All right, so his first question is, God of War versus Spider-Man. Who wins in a fight to the death? He means who's going to get more sales? Spider-Man?
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
If we're talking in the universe, if we're talking in superhero universe, it'd be Kratos.
Yeah, if we're talking about versus Kratos versus Spider-Man, Kratos is a demigod. It's over. But he did specifically say game sales wise. So yeah, actually he goes gaming wise. That's a little bit of a subjective question. It depends on what you're looking for. But sales wise is going to be Spider-Man because it's Spider-Man. But gameplay wise, I don't think we could properly answer that question because they're 2 different type of games. That's like asking, hey, what's gonna win, Tetris or Street Fighter? What? I don't know.
Yeah, especially since God of War is completely changing the way it's doing the games. We have no clue how it's gonna play. We've only had like a few gameplay videos from it.
Yeah, and we haven't seen a lot of gameplay from Spider-Man either. So. That's the other thing. It's like it's still kind of up in the air,
That is true. We got that one demo that we saw that kind of looked scripted, but then they said it was going to be an open world.
Yeah.
So then we're like, I don't know what to expect now.
Very interesting. We haven't seen a lot from either. Like, how for some games, like, hey, here's 30 minutes of the game. They haven't even done that for any of them.
I feel like nowadays Sony is being very, keeping it very close to the chest as far as reveals,
Yeah, Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what else they're keeping in their chest? The release dates.
You know.
Yeah.
And
Also, they're probably like they're saying like they say that these things at like a certain time, but they're kind of like it's in this time when it's done kind of idea, you know?
yeah, I think they're just waiting for it to go gold and be like, okay, we'll decide on a date once we know that for sure.
From what I hear, I mean, I don't know anything about what's going on with Spider-Man, but from what I hear, the God of War game is in play tests, so they're getting close.
Yeah, they're getting close. And Spider-Man supposedly this year, so we'll see. You know,
maybe those play testers are like brains are exploding because they're not used to playing a God of War game that can't jump.
Yeah. Was shout out to Michael in the chat. He goes, "What do you guys think about God of War not having a jump button?" We talk about this. Who cares? You know, it doesn't really matter.
It's not.
I still don't believe that. I think it's just Kratos doesn't have the jump function.
Yeah, you think his son does?
Yeah.
I mean, you mean theoretically, you could kind of do two different types of gameplay with both of the characters. Like you mostly play Kratos, and if you have like puzzles and shit, you could theoretically give it to his son.
Yeah, and if this was a a traditional God of War game, then I think there would be more blowback if it doesn't have a jump feature. But since they're completely redoing the way the gameplay works, we got to give them a shot.
Yeah, I don't know, because there's a bunch of games that don't have jump, and you know they work just fine. You know.
I mean, the one thing about certain games that don't have any jump, and one thing about it just feels. And I felt this a little with Senua's Sacrifice, where she feels very heavy. Like she doesn't feel like like everything seems like it's these kind of delayed motions, and I mean it kind of goes a little against what the God of War stuff does, because like it's really about like fast paced combos and fighting and shit like that. Like essentially it's got like the speed of a fighting game. But this game definitely looks like it's more about thoughtful actions as opposed to just jamming the buttons constantly.
Yeah, pretty much. It's a different experience, you know?
I just wish they didn't call it God of War, to be honest.
Yeah, just call it Kratos.
Yeah, they could just call it Kratos, like they did with Logan.
Yeah,
they didn't call that movie a Wolverine.
Or X-Men, they just said Logan,
Yep.
Not even old man Logan. Just Logan. What are you gonna do? All right. Shout out. By the way, all day, man. I got your question in there, but bro, you gotta ask him a little earlier. I almost missed that shit. Okay. His next question from Silver Sky is, why are so many people sleeping on Days Gone? Do they not realize that this developer created Siphon Filter? He's actually asking me this question because I'm sleeping on it, but most of us on this panel are too.
Also, yeah, go ahead, Tony.
No, I was saying, what does it matter if Siphon Filter guys created? I don't care about Siphon Filter, But yeah,
he never played Siphon Filter.
No, I don't. Military shooting games don't care for those. So why would I care about that? And Days Gone, I've said a million times, it's another zombie game. Who cares? I'm done with that shit. Do something else.
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, I'm very impressed with the amount of creatures or zombies they could fit on there. But at the same time, I look at it, I'm like, here we go. We're playing not what the hell is Norman Reedus' character in Walking Dead? We're playing not him.
Daryl.
We're playing Daryl, but not. That's what I call that game. Daryl, but not.
Daryl, but not.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, I guess just one of the interesting things about that game, I don't know I could be wrong. Well, Left 4 Dead did it, but have the story have so many zombies in it, I don't know. I kind of like that aspect of it, but yeah,
Dead Rising did it. I was just playing Dead Rising 4 today, and just to see all those zombies on screen and no slowdown, I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool.
I don't know. I still remember that demo they showed. I think it was last E3 or something, where he's going up the roof and the zombies are chasing him. I thought that was pretty cool.
I thought it was. I mean, it's not to say that the tech isn't amazing. That how many of those things that they could fit on a screen, and they have zombie animals in it this time, as opposed to just a bunch of zombie people. But again, it's like, okay, what can we throw in there that people won't give a shit about killing? All right, a bunch of zombies.
Yeah.
or hey, what can we throw in there that people won't give a shit about? A bunch of Nazis.
Well, I'll tell everyone this much: we're sleeping more on Metal Gear Survive than we are on this game.
Yeah, I would say that. I would say that too. Like you, at least there's an eyebrow that goes up with
Days Gone.
with Days Gone. Metal Gear Survive, it just doesn't feel right.
Oh
That's a game that didn't need to be called anything. It didn't need to be called Metal Gear. They could have just called this something else. But anyway,
Yeah, and it just goes to like none of us are huge like zombie fans like when it comes to video games.
Yeah,
I am.
Hey, Brett, there he is.
Oh, I didn't know you. I didn't even know you were here.
the prodigal son returns.
I snuck in because I heard people talking shit on zombies in video games. So
Zombies.
I like them. I have no problem with them.
How about we just throw a bunch of werewolves at people? How about with that? Why don't they do that?
The order. Nobody.
Hey,
liked
listen,
it.
the Order 1886 failed at that.
So let me ask you, since I came in and out of context, this is a good opportunity. I have a theory that I'm wondering about. Are we all sick of zombies, or are we just sick of zombies being done badly? My main question being, if somebody actually came out with a new and innovative approach to zombies that told something new in the narrative,
Other than the fact that people are fucked up and will fuck each other over and
no, not even,
those
not
stories.
No, not even focusing on those stories. Like the biggest thing I can say is, for instance, I'm so sick of most zombie stories, but World War Z by Max Brooks was actually a very well told zombie story that went into the mechanics of how the virus works and how it has an effect on geopolitical powers and things like that. It was a very interesting take. And even at the time when zombies were kind of worn out, it was kind of a refreshing thing to be like, oh, this is something kind of new. So is it just zombies that we're all sick of, or are we just sick of the same tired bullshit trope approach to them over and over again?
When we look at this and when we look at this specific situation, what does it look like? It looks almost like fancy graphic Walking Dead.
No, it exactly does.
With the guy on a motorcycle. I mean, well, let's just give him a crossbow.
Well,
it
looks like 28 days later then. It's bag serial Norman Reedus as the main character. Like this is obviously, and as much as I think I'll enjoy this game just because of the swarm mechanics, I don't think that this is a good thing to hold up and be like, this is how a zombie game should be. So, should we, as an industry, should we abandon zombie games altogether, or is it just one of those like, look, no more of the same tired old bullshit?
I'm just speaking for myself right now. I don't like what I call melee enemies. Enemies that don't have weapons, that are easily killable, but they just swarm you. I hate those kind of enemies in video games. Whenever they come up like, oh, here we go, just start swinging around wildly. Every game has these things. The Geth, the fucking, I forget their name. Destiny has a bunch of them too. Every game has melee enemies. I can't stand them. They're fucking annoying.
The things that just run straight at you, and it's just mobs of them.
Yeah, I hate them.
It's a dumbed down horde mode.
So what if we even took it like I don't know, and maybe this is being splitting hairs here. I wouldn't be opposed to a game where like the main enemy is a lich who calls forth armies of the undead, and there's like a supernatural aspect to it. Like just because we're talking about zombies doesn't mean that it has to be Walking Dead, the video game 9.
We're all fans of The Last of Us, by the way. So it's like, there's a way they can do it, like have zombies and then it'll work.
This year,
it's just like because the Last of Us is a game that has zombies. It's not a zombie game per se. And that's kind of exactly what I was thinking. So that answers my question, and I'm happy to hear that. It's I just like to hear that it's not that we're opposed to this blanket idea. It's just we're judging games critically based on what they do or do not bring to the table. And while zombie may be played out, that bias doesn't necessarily get in the way of us being able to see a good game. It legitimizes our criticisms of this game because we're not criticizing because it's a zombie game. We're criticizing it because it's literally everything about it has been done 9 times before.
Yeah, that's the deal. I know you're still excited, but yeah, I think we should we should paraphrase it as, we are tired of the same old zombie game over and over and over and over and over again. Not exactly the genre. It's just the way that it's been implemented in games. We're tired of that shit.
But I mean, that game, they're not zombies. They're people. They're just it's more like
they serve the same function though. They serve the exact same function. They run
for all intents and purposes. They're zombies, but they might be able to think. If they can still think, if they're
something
of
that
ways
doesn't matter.
To kill you,
that doesn't matter.
Strategizing, like remember in DayZ,
where they would all form a pile so that way they can get to you. Normal zombies wouldn't do that.
No,
You know what I mean?
I would actually like to see. I don't know if any of you guys watched The Strain, but I want to say around season 2 of The Strain,
Yeah, The Strain.
when they started going from complete mindless zombies, and you saw them like they can't break in the window, and so you see the one like look at the chair, and you actually see his like little zombie brain kind of ticking around. He picks up the chair, hurls it through the window. You're like, holy shit! Did he just critically think for a second? That is not normal zombie stuff. That is some cool stuff right there.
I mean, George Romero kind of started with that with his kind of last zombie film, which was
Land of the Dead.
Land of the Dead, where it was like the zombies were learning to think.
You know, and I Am Legend also had some of that. The book
Yeah.
with the vampires, but yeah, in the movie, same thing. They were setting him up. They knew. So
But in the book,
They were vampires. They were vampires.
vampires. They were literally
Vampires.
talking to him.
Yeah, they were vampires. Yeah, they weren't
Yeah,
zombies.
his neighbor was constantly yelling at him, all zombified.
Morgan.
Morgan.
yeah.
See, but I'd love a game like that.
I would like an I Am Legend game where it's actually like the book, where it's literally they're trying to fuck him over. You know,
Well, there's
and you get a clock
Dying
in the
Light.
day.
It's close to that because you have to get in before it gets dark, or else all hell breaks loose.
Dying Light was one of the better zombie video games in recent memory, I think.
Yeah, that was
I
good.
enjoyed that
That was
thoroughly.
good. That was good. All right. Yeah, go ahead,
what
Manny.
was
Then
that
we'll move
other?
on.
I like that top angle one. That was just the like, arcade game, arcadey type of game. Was that called Dying Light?
No,
No, but I know which one you're talking
I
about.
know.
26
yeah.
shooter one?
I know what you're
Is it Dead Nation?
Dead Nation.
Yes.
Dead Nation.
Yeah,
That game was fun.
Yeah, that was good.
It didn't get too far into the whole thing, you know, and it's just like arcade, like it was essentially like playing Smash TV or something like that. I thought that was a fun one.
Yeah.
I really like the mechanics of DayZ in the sense of I think survival and zombie game went really well together. Like, part of the fun of a lot of the movies and everything like that is the oh shit we need to go find supplies, oh shit we need to go get clean water, oh shit we need to go find some bandages and kind of thing, and that's what forces you out into the world. I thought that was a really interesting approach that actually focused more on the living in the apocalypse. The zombies, yeah, they were there and they were kind of in the way, but more so than that, like it was an obstacle to get you from point A to point B. So I even think that as PUBG gets more and more prolific, like they could kind of turn that back in towards the original DayZ and come out with the game that DayZ wanted to be but never actually manifested itself to be. So I think that there would still be and everybody would be like, oh my god, this is the newest and greatest thing since sliced bread that's never been done before.
All right, let's move on here. Where the fuck are we? We're getting some more questions. Don't worry, guys. We will get to you. And Black Metal, you already asked us 2 questions, bro. Don't ask us a third one. I just reprimanded Silver Sky for trying to do that. All right, speaking about Black Metal Gamer, his first question is, what are the funniest games you've ever played?
It's funny. It's kind of sad that like comedy games don't somewhat exist anymore. There are some, like you want to say Portal was pretty funny at times. For most of the time, it was funny, but I would have to go with Grim Fandango. I found that game pretty fun. Pretty funny.
But man, you guys remember the sex one on PC where the guy would
Leisure Suit Larry?
There you go, Leisure Suit Larry.
I was just about to say Leisure Suit Larry.
Those are the funny ones.
I don't know. The only one I could think of is Brutal Legend. I had comedy in it. Yeah. I'll go for that one because I don't really play funny games. You know what I mean? Like I don't purposely go out of my way to play funny games, and I think comedy doesn't work very well in a video game. But I know that they do exist. So, yeah, the one I actually found myself like, oh, yeah, this is funny was Brutal Legend. Go ahead, Carlos.
Yeah, the South Park games are pretty funny. Those are kind of a safe bet too, because South Park in general is funny,
and it's literally written by the guys who made South Park, so it's on the same level.
Even the advertisement for those games is funny, man. The way they name the games, the way they advertise those games. So yeah, the South Park games definitely, like the last 2 recent ones, Stick of Truth and forgot the name of the other one. Those are pretty hilarious.
I have to go with Bulletstorm. I laughed my ass off during Bulletstorm.
It's funny. There's some, there's some.
Yeah.
Well, even in the campaign, like the campaign part where he gets the giant fighting mechanical dinosaur, and like you get a wreck through the whole level, and then there's of course the part of the game where they take it away from you, and like he gets all kinds of heartbroken. He's like, "No, Derry, I made a name and a backstory for you and everything." Just the little quips in that. It's really they're right though. It's tough to make a good comedy game. Like you can have funny dialogue in there. There's a wizard on the moon. But yeah, Monkey Island.
By the way,
Monkey
I
Island,
just
I'll go
realized
with
something. The ones I played, at least Saints Row 3 and 4 were crazy. You know, a lot of 80s jokes that I appreciated, but you know, some of them were better than others. You know, some of them were like, okay, what the fuck are you guys doing? Some of them were actually genuinely funny. But again, funny games, like actual comedy games, very few and far between, man.
I in a way, I kind of think of the Grand Theft Auto series as a somewhat of a comedy.
I could understand that.
Just because of how because of its skewed view of our world. You know what I mean? Like, in other words, it's like our world, the things that happen, like crime and horrible things that happen in our world, but like kind of
It's
turned
satire.
up. Yeah, it's
It's
satire.
satire.
Exactly. Yeah.
Destroy all humans.
Thank you for zeroing that one in, because I was just tap dancing around it.
Yeah, and Brett,
No,
you said it. Destroy All Humans was actually legitimately funny. You know,
I think it's hard to make comedy in a video game because generally comedy is misdirection and appropriate timing. Both of which you give up when you put a controller in a player's hand. So you're kind of limited to either blanket satire or witty dialogue. And so I think the ones that are most successful are blanket satire. I think that's what makes Portal so funny too. Is it's satirical of the idea of relentless pursuit of science with no regard for ethics. It holds the same thematic ideas that BioShock does, but it takes it so over the top and blatant to the point of where it's obviously flawed, that then you round back into satire. So, does anybody know of a game that takes a classic comedy approach to video game? Yeah, well, slapstick or misdirection or even timing. Like I wouldn't say Deadpool tried the hardest, and I haven't played it. It's gotten mixed reviews.
One thing about Deadpool is that it runs into the world of trying too hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like everything is like it's always throwing something at you. I feel like they needed to learn something from the movie that eventually came later after the game, where it gave you a lot of stuff to a lot of funny stuff, but it also kind of let it breathe a little bit before it smacked you with another one.
Yeah, I can see that. 3D Dot Game Heroes was hilarious in a very subtle way.
It was a very self-aware sort
of.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of self-aware games, but like traditional comedy, that's a little bit of a harder one, you know.
The animations on Mass Effect Andromeda were pretty fucking.
That's unintentionally funny.
I want to see the first video game with a laugh track in it. You know, that'd be insane.
No, that'd be horrible.
I mean, that sounds something like WarioWare would have, or something like that.
Oh man,
WarioWare would have like clapping in it.
Yeah,
I want to see a video game taped in front of a live studio audience, man. I
think the one thing about comedy games is like if you do like you have a comic, like a really funny bit, but then you die and then you have to hear the same fucking bit over again. Then it's like, I already lost it. You know, would be kind of funny is like, okay, so you have those, being that you already heard that previous bit. What if you died and a totally different bit played? You know. It was a totally different batch of dialogue. So you're not always listening to the same shit over again. It's like, oh yeah, there was that, like in other words, there's another bit of dialogue.
I think that would be algorithmic and that'd be really tough, but I think it'd be great if it happened. Like you could even take the same approach that Eternal Darkness did, where it's just randomly fucking with you, but instead of doing it in a dark way, do it in a hilarious way.
Yeah.
Dead Rising, that's supposed to be a comedy game.
It is funny. At least the new one is funny. I was playing it earlier today, and a lot of his lines are funny, but it's still kind of serious, you know. People are dying. By zombies, people getting killed. So it. I don't know what the funniest fucking line I've heard in 10 years came from Fallout. That was one of the sarcastic responses where you walk into this random place and the guy's like, "Who are you?" It's like, "Oh, don't you remember me? I'm your old buddy, Seamus. Go fuck yourself." I don't know why I laughed my ass off for 10 fucking straight minutes. But yeah, I think comedy only works as an element in video games because you have too much control given to the player.
Yeah. Yeah, comedy has to be very, very controlled by whoever's trying to deliver the comedy. Take that away, a little bit trickier, you know?
Now,
yeah.
because you have the player having control, we all have moments in games that weren't supposed to be hilarious that fucking are. Like, I saw a great video on GTA the other day of somebody flying their DeLorean around, and they transformed it like half a mile into the sky, dropped like a rock, and just squished some player like a bug. That is classic misdirection. That was the exact 100-degree 80 opposite of what I was expecting to see happen. When it happened, laughed my ass off. But again, it's that classic comedy misdirection kind of thing doesn't work when the player has control.
Yeah, I don't know, Brett. That clip you sent me of PUBG today was pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, that was also unintentional. Again, misdirection. He hops in the car. You're like, I wonder what's going to happen. Is he going to do something stupid? The last thing you expect to see is the road eat him and him burst into flames. And then the wreckage takes about 4 seconds and then finally falls over. Perfect timing. But again, can't really do that kind of thing unless you throw it in a cutscene and then you end up with Deadpool.
Yep, pretty much. All right. Next question here is: if you can have a gaming legend Mount Rushmore, what 4 important people in gaming would you have on that mountain? Very good question. I like this one a lot. I have my 4, but I'm gonna wait.
The question is, who doesn't have Kojima in it?
I don't. I don't.
Oh, interesting.
Do we really have to put Master Chief up there?
No. Okay. I mean,
You think
game creators. Game creators.
Game creators. Oh, okay.
I would put Gunpei Yokoi.
Mm-hmm.
I'd put Hideo Kojima, obviously.
Why?
And I would put the guy who made the first video game.
Ralph Baer.
Yeah,
No. Ralph Baer did the first game.
The guy whatever he did, the guy who made that thing was like the blips on the screen. That was just that.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah. Wasn't that Ralph Baer?
Yeah,
that was
him.
Yeah, that was him. Yeah. I don't think he made the first game
that's
console
the
though. But yeah, okay. 4, Manny. 4. Mount Rushmore.
4. And then the guy. Shit. The person who designed the what's that thing? The Atari 2600 system.
Oh, Nolan Bushnell.
Nolan Bushnell.
Yeah.
Nolan
That's
Bushnell.
my
All right, Manny named 3 of the guys for me, because I try to be objective about this. I didn't really put my own feelings into it. I thought, what are the most important people in gaming? So yeah, Ralph Baer, right? Nolan Bushnell, Gunpei Yokoi, very underrated Gunpei Yokoi. Mm-hmm. And even though I didn't want to put him on here, he is the face of gaming to the masses. Miyamoto, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would swap out Miyamoto. I mean, swap out Hideo Kojima too.
Yeah, Hideo Kojima, I like him, but I don't think he's like he like basically when he came into gaming was already pretty well. These 4 guys already made gaming legendary, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why because obviously the first guy was like Kojima, like Tony, slow down. You know.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I will agree. I will switch it to Miyamoto.
Yeah. All right, Chris, get in here.
I agree with your list, except I'd replace Miyamoto with Gabe Newell.
Gaben.
Yep, I'd replace him with Gaben because Steam. Because, Steam alone revolutionized gaming.
That is a strong argument, my friend. I cannot disagree with you on that one.
And I think, honestly, Sega was around the same time as Nintendo, and I honestly think somebody else would have stolen Miyamoto's thunder if he wasn't around.
Yeah, but
here's the question, Chris. If we put Gaben on the mountain, do we have to clear out 2 spaces for him?
Oh, shit.
Oh, man. No, we just put him on Subway or something. He haven't died.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, like Jared, right? Just stay away from those little girls.
Fuck!
I just delayed the release of Half-Life by another 6 months.
Oh man!
Damn.
But you gotta carve him out now, man.
So you've put 6 more months to never. How is that possible?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, every time somebody makes a Gabe and Fat joke, the deadline gets pushed back.
Oh fuck. Okay,
Which
well
is
there
why
you
we
go.
haven't seen it yet.
All
And we
right.
never will.
Yeah, Brett. Since you're talking, gaming Mount Rushmore.
I have trouble with this question because I view gaming as such a collaborative effort. I put Miyamoto up there because I felt like he had a pretty strong hand in things. I'd probably put Kojima up there because as a creator, his name has added more single. Like it's tough for me to just put people who are at the top of a pyramid on this mountain because they owe a lot of their work to the people underneath them. So the only people I can really put up there are people that I feel individually made a huge contribution. Miyamoto, Kojima, because clearly he's the creative force behind a lot of his things. I'd put Tim Schafer up there just because of the golden era of story games, and I think that they had a huge influence on adding narrative to video games and cementing it as an art form. So I'd kind of almost have to put him up there just because he used to be the king of all the point and click adventure games. And I don't know honestly who I'd put in the fourth slot. I'm still trying to think of somebody who you can separate from the group that helped them enough to just say this guy is the magic ingredient. He's the thing that made the fucking difference.
Yeah, all right. We could come back to you if you get another one. Carlos, who was making that noise, man? Shit. You hear that? It's like, I don't know. Whoop, there it is again. Nobody wants to speak up. I love it. It's like a classroom.
Doing anything.
That's not me.
It ain't me, man.
We're not doing anything.
All right, Carlos, man.
So I agree with Chris with Gabe Newell, especially since I love most of the Valve games also. So just Steam and all the games that Valve has released is kind of near and dear to my heart. Miyamoto, I think he's kind of by default because he's sort of the face of Nintendo. He's probably like the second most important mascot Nintendo has now, besides Mario.
Okay.
Number 3, John Carmack. Just the fact that 3D gaming went the way it did, like Doom innovated so much because of that. Who would be fourth? Shit. If I don't think of anybody better, I'll put Kojima on it.
It's a good place. He's a good placeholder, I guess.
Yeah.
Adam, what about you, man?
All right, so we got Nolan Bushnell, right?
Yep.
That's Atari. That's a given. All right, we also have I'm trying to remember his last name. Hold on a second. Alan Alcorn, who does Pong, because that was the first addictive game. So everybody got into that. I also have Leslie Benzies, GTA, Grand Theft Auto.
Now look up the guy who did table tennis.
Yeah, look up the guy who did table tennis,
And Miyamoto. And that's it, because of Mario.
Yep.
So
yeah. All right.
if it was,
yeah,
that's my fault.
Yeah. If we can't come up with any more, we can just move on to the next question. All right, from Mr. Joel Torres. So he goes, which developer has fallen off as one of your guys' favorites? He goes, mine is Rockstar because they haven't released a new game in 5 years. Damn.
What? They release new games every other month.
Yeah, for GTA, right?
Yeah, they're all mini games, but they're all games.
Yeah, I used to really like this company you may never have heard of, Konami. I used to really like them back in the day.
They never heard of that.
They fell off.
No, Dead Rising 4 was fun. I'm still playing that. That's
Capcom. That's Capcom, man.
That's Capcom.
Yeah, I always said Konami, man. Wrong Japanese company, bro.
Konami. Then they shut down.
No, they're still around. They're making Metal Gear. And
Fake news.
Oh man, I wish it was fake news, boy. Actually, no. To be honest, I would say, I hate to say this, I would say Capcom. Actually, they were my favorite for a very long time, but they've kind of fallen off in recent years. So, yeah, I always liked Konami, but it was like a gradual falling off. Like Capcom was almost a little bit sudden,
Did you like Lost Planet? You like those Lost Planet games?
Brian did. I couldn't stand those.
Brian loved them.
Yeah, I don't like those games. but they
So
just weren't
what
my
did you
thing.
like from them? Just the fighters?
Yeah, the fighting games. Yeah, the fighting games, the side-scrolling games from back in the day. Pretty much anything Capcom put out in like the 80s and 90s was legit, you know? Then 2000s, that's when things started getting a little funny, you know? When they hit the 3D era.
Cry though.
Devil May Cry was good. Resident Evil 4 obviously reinvented the genre. That was, yeah, they were still good, but I would say Capcom started falling off in like the PS3 era. Even PS2 era, they were still really good, you know? But, you know, yeah, that's me. Manny, what about you? I already know your answer.
I would have to go with Konami. Konami was my ultimate favorite company. You know, they could do no wrong back in the 8-bit days. In the 90s, they had a lot of really great stuff. And then it just as the late 2000s had come along, I feel like that's when they started to fall off, where you started to see a lot of their titles just dry up, where they used to have a lot of the variety of things out there. You know, most of it is just switched to like mobile, you know, games and all kinds of stuff. So the only real franchise that they had in the end was really Metal Gear. And, you know, that we got pretty much the final Metal Gear for Kojima leaving. So what do we have now? Bomberman, a bunch of FIFA, a bunch of soccer games, which still make
Yes.
the money, but you know, they're not currently making anything that I want to see anymore. So,
Yo, may not even survive.
I mean, I played Survive, and the gameplay is quite fun, but that's not for me. You know, all the things that they show in that game are not the things that I like, and why I enjoyed the Metal Gear series. So, you know, this is all multiplayer sort of stuff. It's you know, surviving and picking up a bunch of items, looking for random shit, you know, fall out of the sky. I don't. That's not what I want to play as far as a Metal Gear. I would take another Metal Gear Rising Revengeance over a
Wow.
over this, to be honest. Because at least with Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, you knew what the deal was. It was just a big old hack and slasher, but it was Platinum Games does a hack and slash, so I'm fine with that. But you know,
Yeah, but you do know what you're getting with this game. They're upfront about it. It's a cash grab.
yeah, I mean, it just totally says what it is. It's like, okay, we had this incredibly expensive engine that we spent billions on. We got to make this work out somehow. So let's throw out another Metal Gear game. I mean, granted, there are some of the team, the team from the original Metal Gear 5 team that are still working on it. But at the same time, it's just like, hey, it's good that you have a job, but yeah, I don't know if this was the best of ideas.
Yeah.
Yo, man, there's so many I can name.
Uh-oh,
I'll
go
give
for
some
it.
honorable mentions. Well, first of all, I'll just give up the easy answer, but it's the boring answer. But it'll be really quick. That's Rare, man. Rare, they're a shell of themselves. I'll hopefully see if these can bring them back. But yeah, that's the easy answer. But I'll give some honorable mentions. Capcom.
Okay.
What's it called? BioWare.
Oh,
Probably
man.
like in.
Yep,
1
I
or
was
2
going to say
years.
BioWare.
Yeah.
But the one that I'll name as my answer is, if you would ask me in 2008 what my favorite gaming franchise was, I would have said Halo. Man, I was such a huge Halo fan. I still am, but not as big as I used to be. And Bungie was my favorite developer back in the day. And man, after those 2 Destiny games, I can say I'm not a fan of Bungie anymore. I just don't like the direction they took once they went to Activision. So yeah, Bungie for me.
Man. Yeah, Brett.
I was going to say BioWare.
Yeah, for obvious reasons, as we've stated many, many times.
Yeah.
Dude,
And-
no, it's not even just. I just used to be a absolutely huge BioWare fan, and yeah, for obvious reasons. But it's not just me talking shit. It's not just me being like, "Oh, BioWare is a bad company." Like, it was legitimately my favorite company. Dragon's Age.
Dragon's Age.
Yeah, Dragon's Age. Dragon's Age was like those were some of my favorite games. Like I would hold them up as the high watermark of storytelling in video games, and to go from something that in my opinion, legitimized video games to something that's kind of like this sad, shameful little secret that you really just don't want to bring up. Like that's a huge fall. So I'm not. There are still game companies I dislike quite a bit more than BioWare, but the fall from grace on them was fast and hard.
Yeah, they have. I mean, Dragon's Age, KOTOR, Mass Effect franchise. They're on a freaking roll, man. But since this last Mass Effect game, and I mean, at least in this panel, none of us are looking forward to Anthem. If Anthem doesn't if Anthem doesn't do anything, they're dead.
They're dead to us.
Well, they're dead to us, and pretty much they're dead as a development studio. EA doesn't hold on to these studios.
No, they don't.
They're quick to like finish them off, man. Whenever they see blood.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the problem is that, and I think everybody's a little brokenhearted about, myself included, is Anthem seems like such a far cry at what BioWare was good at. See, even Chewbacca agrees.
Oh man.
It's just such a different thing from what they're known for and they're known to be good at, that it's sad, but I think a lot of us are just like, well, BioWare's not being BioWare anymore. It was good while it lasted.
Yeah.
Damn shame, man. All right, Adam, what about you?
I would have to say, and I mean, I know a lot of people say, well, it's always on the list. It wasn't for me, but it would have to be Electronic Arts, EA. You know, with the whole loot box thing and just forcing people and just changing the way we enjoy a lot of these games. Like I was just telling you before, like the Need for Speed, I used to enjoy those games, and now it just ruins it. You know, this whole speed card system and all the other things that they've done to their sport games. I used to enjoy playing FIFA, and then that's gone now because of the whole same thing with the loot boxes and stuff. So it's just, yeah, it's EA. EA just hopefully they'll change up. I know they have to make money and they'll come up with a new system, but something better than what's being forced on us now. So yeah, EA for me.
All right, moving on here, my man. All Day Digital, and yo, my man, you got to get us these questions a little bit earlier, bro. I almost missed these, man. If you didn't hit me up privately, I would not have seen this shit. You know, we close up shop at 10 p.m. Eastern, man. All right, but the first question is, a friend of mine, friend of his, works at GameStop, and he saw a quote unquote street date for God of War. Do you guys think this has any validity? Oh, and a street date for a themed PS4 console as well. So yeah, one of his boys that works at GameSpot showed him a picture of a release date. Game. Yeah. You know, I always get them confused. So yeah, I'm gonna just say, even though the guy works at GameStop, I'm gonna still call BS.
Well, it's not that it's BS. Is that companies like GameStop just put in their best guess or placeholder numbers a lot of times to. You have to realize they're working within a system, and then their computer system wants to know, well, when does this game come out? And so you can't just really enter like Q1 of 2018. A lot of times that really doesn't work into the system. So you just kind of make a placeholder number and throw it in there.
Oh yeah, they've done that before. Even Amazon has had like essentially fill in street dates. Like sometimes you see like an announcement, it'll just say like December 2018 or something like that.
Yeah,
and
by
then
the way,
it'll mysteriously change.
By the way, I don't know if you guys can see it, but here's the image that's floating around the internet right now. God of War SD. I don't know what the hell that means. Street date
standard.
Yeah, I guess it.
Street date.
Yeah, street date. Yeah, 6/30, June 30th, and then a God of War Atreus fig pin. I don't know what that is, but Atreus is his son, so I don't know what the fuck a fig pin is.
I mean, if it's $12, it might be some sort of figure.
Yeah, so there you go. So who knows? I mean, it's coming up this year, man. Don't worry about the street date, man.
I still think March.
I'm going with March too. That's the usual God of War date, you know.
Yeah.
That seems like a street holder date. Hold on a second. Let me see something.
Yeah. That picture was posted by some guy called Supra G, He has 2 X's in his name, so I don't know.
So that'd be June 30th, right?
Yeah, June 30th.
Yeah, that's a Saturday. It's bullshit.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. That if it's not Tuesday or Friday, it's BS. All
Yeah,
right.
that is not the actual game release date. That is a placeholder date.
All right, well, there you go. Okay, and the next question is, what's the next mini console you would be more interested in than the SNES Mini? I like this question. I'm going to go pure speculative. They're never going to do this. They're never going to do this. I want a Sega Saturn Mini. I would love that shit. They're not going to do it, but that would be fantastic.
I want a Dreamcast Mini. You could put literally every Dreamcast game ever made on there.
Oh man.
Here's the thing. Can we be honest right now? Nintendo could have easily put every fucking game of theirs on their minis too.
Yeah.
You know?
Entire library easily. Come on.
But
And yes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's my answer. And Brad gave his. Manny, what about you?
Mini consoles. I don't really want a mini console. I just want like a rehash of the actual console. I mean, with all these consoles getting all old and nasty, I would like to have like a fresh Nintendo or a fresh PlayStation, that plays all the games and it has, and it runs everything really nice, as opposed to just having these kind of like half-step little, like, essentially what do they call it? What are those things they call those Arduino consoles, which has like, it's just a chip in a little sign in an enclosure.
All right. So you don't want one of those, obviously.
No, I never.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't bother with the Nintendo Minis because I feel like it was I feel like that shit's just a rope-a-dope right there. You're telling me that the shit that they literally had on their, it's all the ROMs they're gonna eventually have on their current store. So you're just gonna throw like maybe 20 of them on there? It's bullshit.
Yeah. Chris.
Give me a Genesis Mini, man.
There you
The whole
go.
Library. I'll be set.
The sad thing about the Genesis is there is one out on the market. And
nothing from at Games.
Not that thing. But
The one that actually played Genesis.
the one thing about that thing I think is good, and I wish that it was a better company that was doing it. That thing actually does play the original games, and it has games on there.
Yeah, but again, for the spirit of the question, guys, we need USB little consoles and stuff.
Yeah, I'd take a Genesis Mini, man.
There you go. All right, Carlos.
Yeah, Dreamcast Mini would be pretty great.
And
all they had to do is just release the launch games, and I'll be happy.
And
so you're gonna play, what is it? What was that game? The Ready to Rumble boxing.
Hey, Ready to Rumble was good.
Yeah, that
I'm
was
not saying it wasn't.
Oh, I miss Jet Set Radio.
Yeah, and
Jet Grind Radio for the first one.
And I know a lot of people in here don't like it, but I was a fan of Sonic Adventure.
I like Sonic Adventure. At the time, it was fantastic.
I've never said that it was bad.
Yeah, it just didn't age well. That's all.
Oh, okay. Well,
didn't anybody like Seaman?
Seaman was crazy. Yeah, Seaman was crazy.
Seaman.
Yeah. Chris had it. Remember Evil Chris?
Oh yeah,
he had that shit.
I know. I just wanted to say that the panel likes Seaman.
Yeah, all up in our faces, right?
by the way, shout out to Soul Calibur, man.
Yeah, Soul Calibur launch. Yeah, but Dreamcast till this
Everybody
day.
forgets that's where Soul Calibur came from.
No, it's
Soul
not.
Blade. Soul Blade was
Soul
first.
Blade was the original one.
Yep.
Well, yeah, but that's Soul Calibur. Soul Calibur.
And Soul Calibur was
I'm making an arbitrary distinction here, guys. Come on.
And Soul Calibur was actually in the arcades first before it came to Dreamcast. Yep. Although the Dreamcast one was better looking. It was better looking.
The Dreamcast one was a better looking.
Yeah. Adam, what about you, man?
I don't think there's really anything, because I mean, we have them all. I mean, I don't see. No, I don't know. I mean, I would like a mini version of an Xbox.
The original.
Original Xbox. Yeah, make something like that. That'll be better.
There you go.
Really old shit, because we could get that anywhere. We could get emulators and stuff, but we can't really bring our original Xbox games with us. So I'd like to do that. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, that's a good answer. All right, and the last question of the night is from Inferno Fox, who I believe is a first timer. So welcome. All right. So his question is, have you guys ever played any of the Armored Core games?
I have.
The first one's on PlayStation 2, I want to say.
Those were I played mine on the Xbox. It was between that and Mech Assault.
Yeah. No, I've never played any Armored Core games. So nope.
They were all right. They were. It was better than Mech Assault.
The thing about Armored Core is it kind of the series kind of steadily got worse. So
Yeah.
that's part of the reason why I kind of stopped. I mean, I played only the first one. I was like, you know what, I'm good. I don't need to play any more of these.
By the way, some guys are freaking out in the comments about Seaman. Like, you guys never heard of Seaman?
Look it up.
Yep.
Scary shit.
Yeah.
Seaman, as in
Seaman.
Seaman, voiced by Leonard Nimoy.
Yes, that is actually right. I don't have anything to add to this. I never played Armored Core, never was interested in them, so no.
It's a mech game. It's a mech game.
Man,
It was
From
all right.
software, you know?
They were all right. They weren't.
I wouldn't say they're. I mean, granted, I'm different. We're probably different than most people when it comes to this, but I wouldn't say it's like nostalgia worthy, to be honest. It's like,
No, I wouldn't either.
It's like,
I was right. They were better than Mech Assault, but there was a lot of mech games out there, and there was a lot of not great mech games at the time, and so they kind of blend together. Which one was the one with the giant fucking $100 and some controller?
Steel Battalion.
Battalion.
The one thing about Armored Core I have to say is that it was a more arcadey, just like a lot of Japanese games. It's like a more arcadey version of Mech Assault, where is a little bit easier to play and easier to get into, and it was one of those cornerstone PlayStation 2 games that kind of showed off the graphics and stuff like that. So
I was spoiled by Virtual On.
Thank you. I was going to say that. Fuck all those games. Virtual On is the shit.
But the thing is that Virtual On is a different. Virtual On is a different sort of game. Virtual On is a fighting game. Armored Core wasn't.
No, it's true, but just the controls of Virtual On spoiled you for a lot of other mech games. You're like, why can this just not control like Virtual On? I do not understand.
Yep.
And Armored Core was a weird, clunky game, and I know that seems like it should be okay when you're talking about giant fighting robots, but it didn't give you the mech feel. You wanted to play Gundam at this point in time. Everybody wanted to play a Gundam, and the thing didn't really feel like a Gundam, despite how much I tried. I can't put it into words. It was like an uncomfortable bike. And I love From. Like, I'm talking shit. I realize I'm talking shit on From Software here, and I feel terrible about it. But it's just
you're talking shit about past From Software.
Yeah, yeah. So you guys know I would love to say something nice about Armored Core, but not really. Like, the gameplay of Dynasty Warriors outshines the gameplay of Armored Core.
Yeah, by the way, quick shout out to Mr. Daniel Lawson, who gave us $5, man. Appreciate that.
Nice.
Yay. Thank
more
you.
money.
Give me the cash. Yeah, I don't have anything more to say. And since it looks like the internet connection is a little weird here, I'm going to end the show now appropriately enough. Like, because the thing is, like, OBS actually tells you how, like, good your strength is, and it's getting in the red. I don't know why. Fucking New York. All right, Spectrum, man.
They're probably doing maintenance. The maintenance window is always from 12 to 6.
Yeah, we'll wrap this shit up then. All right, man. So thank you guys for watching and listening. Leave us your questions in the comment section of this episode here on YouTube or over on the Coalition, and we'll answer them on next week's show. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Follow us on Twitch, Mixer, Twitter, and Facebook at Throwdown Show. Links are located in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco, and joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you later, guys. Thanks for coming by.
Chris Seelys.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
Skull Vikings.
Adam Vale.
Go watch Happy, man. That's just a funny show. Love that show.
And Brett Murdoch.
It's been real, party people.
All right, guys. We'll see you Thursday. Later.
Deuces.
Peace out.
Laters.
Don't drink and drive.